Someone recently asked me in a comment how you insert a video inside another video using a video editing app for Android on a smartphone. So I thought I'd make a quick video demonstrating how to do that. My goal for this video is not to give a technical tutorial about exactly how to do it and all the features and procedures. I barely know how to use this feature myself. I just discovered it a short time ago. And what really surprised me is how easy it is to do. So what I'm going to do is open up a new video project and then show you how to do it very quickly, just to show you how easy it is. And then I'm going to go back and start from the beginning and go over it in more detail, more slowly. And then I will go through some of the more special features that I'm aware of, just to give an idea of what some of the possibilities are. As I said, I'm not going to go over everything to do with this feature because I barely understand it myself. So, to start, I'm using the PowerDirector app for Android. The steps would be similar in all the other video editing apps, though some of the buttons would change and some of the terminology would change, but the basic process would be the same no matter what application you're using. This is the main window for PowerDirector when you first open it, and the first step, of course, is to create a new video project. So you click on this button here, and you have to give your project a name. I will just call this one Demo. Then you choose a size for the screen, an aspect ratio, and I'm just going to select 16:9, which is the standard format for YouTube. And that opens up the main PowerDirector editing window. These are all your videos that are on your phone, and this is your timeline down below where you build your video project. So, if you want to do a video inserted in another video, this is all you have to do. I'm going to add one video. I'm going to choose this one here, a little 30-second video. And there it is on our timeline. And now I go back to our folders of videos, and I'm going to choose a second one, add it to the project, and that's it. I'm done. If you click on the play button, you'll see that I have a video inserted in another video.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way,
stabilization test of my
and I'll
new
demonstrate
phone.
this later.
You see in the background, there's video number 1, which is the one on the timeline, and sitting on top of it is video number 2, represented here on the second layer. And that's really all there is to putting a video inside another video. It's as easy as that. But now let's go back and I will do it slower and talk a little bit about the stages involved. So let's go back to the beginning, create a brand new project. Let's call this one Demo 2, 16:9 aspect ratio. And the key to this technique is that your video is made up of layers. And I don't know the technical terms for this, but I think of it like the foundations for a house, or the structure of a house. So at the very bottom, you have the foundation layer, and then below that you see more lines. And each one of those lines represents another layer sitting on top of the foundation. So just like as in a house, you have a foundation, then you have the first floor, and the second floor, and the third floor, the fourth floor, the fifth floor. How many layers you can have is dictated by the power of your device. How powerful the processor is, how advanced the hardware features are, how much memory you have, things like that. I know that this phone that I'm using, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9 Pro, has a limit of 4 video layers in total. And for me, that's more than enough. I can't imagine wanting any more than 2 videos, to be honest. Why I would ever want 4, I don't know. So 4 video layers is more than enough for me, but I assume if you have a more powerful phone, you could have even more layers than that. But anyway, that is the key, that you have layers in the video. So when you begin your video project, you first add a video to your foundation layer. And you do that through one of these buttons at the side. So if I click on this button, which is the Add Media button, it opens up this window that shows all of your videos here. This icon, click on that, you get the folders containing all of your pictures, and then this is a little musical note. Click on that, you get all the folders containing your music. And when you're using this button, everything you add automatically gets added to the first layer, to the foundation layer. It's just an automatic process. If you click on this button, add a photo, add a song, add a video, it always goes in the foundation. That's just the way the system works. So that is your starting point. So here we are. I clicked on that Add Media button. I went into the video folders, and for my foundation video, I just chose this one simply because it is a street, basically. And I'm physically not in the video. Let's just play it to see what it looks like. And this is a stabilization test of my new phone. I'm walking normally and holding the phone in two. So that's all it is. It's actually, as I said in the video itself, I'm testing my new phone to see how the stabilization works. And we have a video of kind of a background. And you have audio of me speaking in the background, but you don't see me. So maybe you actually want to add a second video. Maybe you could put it down here in the bottom right to have a video of me actually talking, and that might make it a more interesting video. So I just bring that up to indicate one of the reasons why you might even want to insert a video inside another video. This blue line, by the way, that is the playhead, and wherever you put that playhead, that is where the new video will be inserted. When I first did it, I just inserted the video at the very beginning, but now I'm going to move it in just a little bit just to make it more clear what is going on. So I'm going to insert the new video here. And you'll notice that since we added the foundation layer of video, now the second line has this little symbol beside it of two squares on top of each other and the little number 1 there. So this icon matches up, this one here with the picture and the film strip, that matches with this icon on the top left. So that makes it easy to understand that if you want to add something to this layer, you click on that button. If you want to add something to the first video overlay, it has this symbol, so you click on this to add something to go in that layer. So let's do that. Click on here, and we get these icons across the top: pictures, videos, and text. We're only going to use a video today because that's what I'm talking about. So let's click on the movie camera to open up our video folders. And you'll notice that it looks exactly the same as the video folders when we clicked on the other button. And in fact, it is exactly the same. The only difference is that we opened it using this button, and because we opened it using this button, the video we select will end up over here. Had we opened the folders with this button, the video would end up here. So we've opened the folders using the Layers button, and now let's grab a video. And I chose this one because it has me in the video talking. The first video is just a backdrop, and now we have a video of me speaking. And let's go back to the beginning and play and see what this looks like. And this is a stabilization test of my new phone.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way,
holding the phone in two hands.
And I'll demonstrate this later on.
So you'll notice that the video started with this top video, and then when we reached about 4 seconds or 5 seconds, then the second video that we inserted appears in the middle. And that's really all there is to the technique. If we follow the playhead as it moves across, and when it reached this point, the other video pops up in the timeline. So, simply inserting a video into another video is very simple. At this point though, you probably don't want the second video to be this size, and you probably don't want it sitting right in the middle of the screen, but luckily changing that is very easy. It's just as easy as manipulating photographs. You simply click on it, and you notice that when you click on the video, it becomes highlighted with a dotted line, and there are these little squares in the corner and a symbol down here in the bottom right. With these squares, you can simply click on it and drag it in any direction you want to make the video bigger or smaller. This circular symbol in the corner rotates and changes the size. So you can move this video around, increase its size, and change its rotation. To move it, it's as simple as clicking on it and then dragging it to where you want to go. You could put it in the top left corner, top right, anywhere you like. Since we have some clear pavement down here in the bottom, I'll put this little video right there in the corner. So, and there we have me in one video talking while we have another video playing in the background. Of course, you've probably noticed that there is a problem with audio because I am talking on this video and I'm talking on this video.
And this is a stabilization test of my new phone. Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, holding the phone in two hands. And I'll demonstrate this later on.
So, we obviously can't have two audio tracks playing at the same time, but that is also something that is very easy to fix. In this example, we probably want to keep the audio from me, from this video here, and get rid of the audio for this video. And now we just go down to the timeline, click on that video, and a large menu opens up along the bottom. All the different editing features for that video clip. One of the most important ones, and almost the first one in the list, is volume. Simply click on volume, and then there's a button here that says mute, another that fades in and fades out. The easiest way to get rid of the audio, of course, is just to click on mute. And now the audio for this video clip has been turned off. Let's play it.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
Another way to do that is simply to raise and lower the volume. So if we click on this video again, go back to the volume item on the menu, turn off mute, and you'll notice here on the right there's a slider with 100 on it, which means audio is currently at 100%, and you can drag that up to make it louder, up to 200%, or you can drag it all the way down to the bottom until you reach 0, which of course means there is no audio at all. So you can do it with the slider, set it to 0 or whatever you like. It might be that you want a little bit of audio in the background. For example, if I was not speaking in this audio, and you just had the traffic noise and the wind and just ambient noise from the surroundings, you might want to keep that, but you don't want it to drown out this video, so you might, drop it down to 30% or something like that. And then we play it.
And this is a stabilization test of my new phone. Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
And you could hear the sound of the traffic in the first video. Of course, It's not a perfect example because I am still speaking in this first video and we wouldn't want that. So you would probably just click mute and mute that video completely. And if I click on one of the videos in a layer, you also get quite a complex menu of editing options down here on the bottom. And I'm not going to go over all of them, of course, but I'll just point out a couple of interesting ones. For example, we have opacity right here. Click on that, and you notice we get a slider here, which is set to 100, which means, of course, that it is 100% opaque. What you can do is make it less and less visible. So it's becoming more and more invisible. And there are a few reasons you might want to do that. In this case, you probably wouldn't want to do this, but maybe you want to put this video somewhere on the screen and then see some of the background bleeding through around the edges. In this case, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but there are many situations where you might. But what's interesting is that if you take this all the way down to 0, the video disappears completely. It's just not visible at all. And that is a neat trick because you can take your first video, then add the audio of another video simply by inserting that video below, and you don't actually see the video.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
There you go. So we have the image of this video and the audio from this video. So that is opacity. Let's set that back to normal and I'll show you something else. Bring this all the way back up to 100% and our video is back exactly as it is. And you notice it has hard rectangular edges on the sides. And maybe you want something softer than that. And you can do that with a feature here called mask. To be honest, I don't really understand masks. It can be a very complex feature, I believe, in photo editing and video editing. But I kind of like this one thing you can do with PowerDirector anyway, using the mask feature. So I just clicked on it, and let's use ellipse as an example. Click on ellipse, and it gets highlighted again, and we have a slider here starting at 0. And as you move the slider up, notice that the edges become fuzzy and move inwards. And the higher you go, the more pronounced the effect becomes. And if you find a nice sweet spot, I don't know, maybe right about there, what you end up with is a video inserted inside another video without any hard edges. It just kind of has a softer look to it. And let's see how that looks when it pops up on the screen.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
And you might like or hate that look, but it is something interesting you can do. And there still is kind of a hard edge around there, you know, shaped like an ellipse. And we can increase that if we want. Go back to mask, increase the effect, and now you see that I'm almost kind of ghost-like as I appear in this little video clip.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
So it's a much softer edge around the outside, and that's something that you can do with all of these editing features down at the bottom. And that's getting a little bit beyond the scope of what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to show how easy it is to do the simplest things, simply to insert a video in another video and change the audio levels, for example, or something like that. Well, let's put this back to normal. Turn off the mask. So now we have no mask, and we're back to our starting point right there. I talked about how you could take this video and make it invisible, leaving just the audio. There is another way to do that, which I will show you. It's really quite easy to do. Notice here in our layers, we've got the foundation layer I talked about, the overlay number 1, which is like the first floor of your house, and then we have a musical note, which is where obviously the audio tracks would go if you insert a song or something. But check this out. This is something I found completely by accident because I didn't find it in any of the tutorials anywhere. If I click on this video in the overlay and drag it down, check this out. Boom. It takes the audio from that video and turns it into a separate audio track, and the video disappears. And there are a few advantages to this. One is that you don't if all you wanted was the audio, you don't need the video. And that's just using up processing power. It's increasing the size of your video. It's having a lot of negative effects. So we can get rid of the video entirely and keep only the audio track, which is much, much smaller in size and easier to edit and process. Plus, you get the wave sign here of the audio. So you can actually track the voice, and it makes it a lot easier to make edits. So where the goes down to nothing, I know I stopped speaking there.
And it has 3 buttons on the keyboard. So if you happen to have...
So if you're making edits to your audio, it's much easier to position your playhead right in between where you're speaking, and you can see exactly where each sentence ends and the next one begins, and then you can cut and paste and edit and do all the things you want. So that's kind of a nifty thing that you can do just by extracting the audio. And you can do that in any video editing app for Android. It's just that the technique is different for each one. You have to find out how to do that. One more little trick here before I move on. Let's just hit our back button to get back to normal. So now we have our video and audio together again. Another little trick I discovered, again, kind of just by accident, is that if you take the video that you inserted and make it bigger and bigger, you can fill the entire screen and effectively hide the video in the background. The video in the background completely disappears. The audio is still there, it's still playing if you had the audio on, but it disappears behind this video. So in effect, both videos are in your timeline and both are playing, but you can increase the size of the inserted video to fill the whole screen and effectively cover up the video in the background. One last thing before I end this video. I mentioned that every phone, because of its hardware, has a limit to the number of videos you can add, and my phone has a limit of 4. I don't know if that is a lot or a little compared to other phones. It is a lot for me. I would never have to add 4 videos. But just for fun, let's add one more video, and I can show you how easily that is done. We've got a video in our foundation layer. Now we've got a video in layer number 1. That's our first floor of our video house. And let's go back to our layers button and select another video and see what happens. Choose this one here, add it, and there it is. So now we've got our foundation video, layer number 1, layer number 2, and let's play that to see what it looks like.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
We answer some very important questions.
Unboxing,
for example,
is that you can pair it with 3 different devices at the same time.
And the default every time you add a new video is to put it in the middle of the screen, and it's always the exact same size. But as I showed earlier, you can change the size and move it around. But before we do that, notice that in terms of the videos on the screen, this video is sitting on top of that video, which is sitting on top of that video. And that mirrors exactly what is going on down here. We've got this video layer sitting on top of that layer, sitting on top of that layer. And that, you have to keep that in mind because it helps you with the editing, because for many different reasons, you might want one video to be visible while another is not, and you want this one to cover up this one momentarily. Anything like that. Come on, we can. So if I move it down, now it is, because it physically sits on top of that video in our layers, when you move it there, it covers it up completely. But of course, we can move it off to its own corner, make it bigger or smaller. So now we have 3 videos all playing simultaneously. And if you wanted to go crazy, you can go right back into your videos, grab another one, add it, and there it is. So now we have 4 videos. And as I said, we've now reached the limit for my phone, and I think it's already starting to struggle in terms of processing this much video and audio at the same time. But yeah, it's really as easy as that. Here's the 3rd story of your house, 2nd story, 1st floor, and then the foundation in the background. I feel like I got a little bit too technical and a little bit too complex here towards the end. So just to end this video and keep things back on track, or get things back on track, let's go all the way back to the beginning, and I'll do a quick demo of the simplest level. Create a new project in Power Director, give your project a name, call this one Demo 3, choose an aspect ratio, and then it is as easy as adding one video to your foundation layer. Go back to your Layers button, select Video, choose a 2nd video. It automatically goes into the 2nd layer, and
another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way,
stabilization test of my
and I'll
new
demonstrate
phone.
this later on.
a video sitting on top of another video. And then if you want to move it to the corner, you just drag it over there, make it a bit smaller, turn off the audio for this top video, mute it, and we're all done.
Another interesting thing about this keyboard, by the way, and I'll demonstrate this later on.
Video in a video with only the audio from one video playing. And it really is that simple to do. So I'll end the video there. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that, maybe learned a little bit. And as I said, this is all stuff that I just learned myself very recently, and I'm just having fun with it. And I thought, as I was having fun with it, I could make a video and share it with some other people who might have been thinking about these same things. See you in the next video. To demonstrate that the principles are the same across all the different video apps, I thought I would give a brief look at the same process, but in another very popular video editing app for Android called KineMaster. This is the main screen that would open up in KineMaster when you launch the program, and this plus sign in the middle is how you create a new video project. Let's click on that. We have to select our aspect ratio. 16:9, as I said, is the standard for YouTube. And this is the main editing screen, the main editing window for KineMaster. It looks radically different from PowerDirector, but all the same elements are here, but laid out in a different fashion. For example, up here in the top right, we have a control wheel, and you notice that there is a Add Media button, and that button was just happened to be over here on PowerDirector. And to the left, that you can see the exact same icon, the little squares piled up on top of each other, just like my analogy of the foundation of a house with stories built on top of it. And this is the layer button. And KineMaster helps you out because it actually puts the little word layer right underneath it. Down here is the timeline for KineMaster. It does not have the lines on the screen to show you the different layers yet because we haven't added anything. That's a little bit different from PowerDirector, but once you understand that layers are a possibility, you don't really need the lines there in advance. You just understand what you can do with layers. But you cannot add a layer until you first have a foundation video. And of course, as we know from this video, you have to click on the media button to add your first video. So let's do that now. And KineMaster opens up, just like PowerDirector, a list of all the folders on our phone containing photos and videos. So let's go get the exact same video that we used in the previous example. There it is there. Click on it to add it. It happens automatically in KineMaster. You don't have a plus button and a play button. So we just click on it and boom, it pops into our timeline down here. Let's play that just to remind ourselves of what's going on here.
And this is a stabilization test of my new phone.
So there is our foundation layer of video. Notice that now that we've added our first video, the layer button and the audio button and this record button are no longer grayed out. They are now a possibility because we have a foundation. Now we can start building on top of our foundation and adding layers. So let's click on the layer button and notice what interesting thing happens when I click on the layer button. I get a little pop-up, first of all, that gives me options for adding different elements, text, stickers, effects, handwriting, very similar to PowerDirector. But up here at the very top is a media button that looks suspiciously like this media button. And this confused me for a long time when I first started using PowerDirector. Why would I use this button to go get my media when there's already a media button here? I did not understand the difference between them, but now I do. If you want to add video to your foundation layer, you click on this media button. If you want to insert a video on top in a brand new layer, then you click on this media button underneath layer. And look at that. We get the exact same folders opening to us. We just got there through a different route. So let's add the same video that we used before. Here it is here. And there it is. Just like in PowerDirector, just one or two clicks of the mouse and we have a video inserted inside another video. And from here, all the steps are more or less the same that I talked about before. If you want to manipulate this video, you simply click on it. It becomes highlighted by a dotted line. The icons in the corners are a little bit different. We don't have squares anymore, but you can do the exact same things. This circular icon in the corner with an arrow, that makes it bigger or smaller, and this one rotates it. And if you want to move it around, you just grab it and move it to wherever you want it to go. And if you want to change audio, it's exactly the same thing. We want to get rid of the audio for the background video. Well, first let's just play this just for fun.
And this is a stabilization test of my new phone. I'm walking normally and holding the phone in two hands. I currently have a keyboard, and I'm not being a special.
So there we have the exact same video that I made in PowerDirector with the background video and the inserted video both playing audio at the same time. So we want to get rid of audio for one of them. Let's get rid of the audio for the background again. Just click on that to select it. And in PowerDirector, the menu opened up along the bottom. In KineMaster, you also get a menu, but it opens up along the right-hand side. So all of these are your editing options that correspond with what we saw in PowerDirector along the bottom. And here is a speaker sign, which is obviously the volume. Click on that, and it opens up all of our audio controls. And right up here is the mute button. And below it is the slider. We saw both of these in PowerDirector, so I can choose to mute it by clicking that. Now there's no audio at all, or I can lower the audio level to whatever I like, or all the way down to 0, which is effectively the same as muting it. So let's mute it, go back, and now let's start playing our video again. As you notice, no audio at all is playing for this. We muted it, and now audio starts playing here.
I currently have a keyboard that I use with my phones.
And that is essentially the whole story. As I said, the principles are exactly the same whether you're using PowerDirector or KineMaster or any other full-featured app. You might remember that I gave the example of how I could click on the inserted video in PowerDirector, drag it downwards, and that would automatically extract the audio. I can do the same thing in KineMaster, but instead of using the drag technique, you highlight it, the menu opens up, and then way down at the bottom of this menu, there it is, extract audio. So KineMaster can do all the exact same things that PowerDirector can do and vice versa, but they do it in a different way using a different combination of menu items. So let's click on Extract Audio, and there it is down below. We now have the audio in a separate audio track. There it is, it just finished building it, and then we can go up to our video and then delete it. PowerDirector deletes the video automatically once it has extracted the audio, and KineMaster just makes it one more step that you can control. So again, all the exact same features are here that you would find in PowerDirector, but just laid out in a different way.